Alright everyone, we start off today talking about another Hunter Biden laptop bombshell. This is from the other day, a new report that emails and other correspondence that's in there, and I believe part of it has to do with the new files that people gained access to, so the iCloud synced stuff. They didn't actually penetrate his cloud, by the way. For people even more Luddite than me, that's storage in a server somewhere, it's not even local. But you can sync the data to, your local system, and they gained access to that which had been synchronized. That's my understanding of the situation. And it turns out, we already knew last year that Joe Biden did indeed meet with some of Hunter Biden's business associates. Now keep in mind the context. Joe Biden claimed while he was campaigning and even thereafter, he had absolutely never any conversation of any kind at any time with his son, with Hunter Biden, with regards to any of his business dealings. If they talked at all, it's, hey, I love you, I'm so proud of you, son. You just embezzled $10 million from a Colombian drug lord. Really proud of you. I'm really proud of you. You went 3 days without smoking crack. And that's, it's basically like the tarmac meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch, I believe it was at the time. And all they talked about was Chelsea's wedding and yoga. They never talked anything about the Hillary Clinton server debacle that was literally happening at exactly the same time. That was never discussed. Secret Service not allowed, I believe, in the plane at the time. So it's very, very convenient. One thing I would like to say before we get into some of these business meetings, because we're not just talking about Ukrainian deals. We're talking about deals with Russia. We're talking about deals in Colombia. We're talking about many others. We're talking about dozens of different business meetings, and Hunter met with Joe Biden virtually at the same time in many of these cases. So Hunter goes, strikes a business deal, and then an hour later he happens to be talking to Dad. What the fuck do you think that they were talking about? Why do these synchronize so perfectly? The writing is on the wall. Clearly they talked about business. But I wanted to get into something further. This goes well beyond Hunter Biden. It goes well beyond his crack smoking, his business dealing, the obvious quid pro Joe situation. Joe Biden lied to the American people. That's even more significant. Nobody gives a damn what Hunter does. I don't care if Hunter Biden, who clearly has no business qualifications, I don't care if he manages to get some drug lord to invest $5 million in him for advisory purposes. I don't really care if he's on an energy board and makes millions of dollars literally doing nothing because he exists. Good for him. Made a lot of money. And then he smoked it all, apparently, or, bought escorts and, I imagine how many thousands he was spending per day at peak on some of these expenses. He seems to have had a little bit of an issue with self-control. So that's the second layer, is Joe Biden lied. People care about that because Joe Biden's actually in politics. Hunter's never run for office. There's something even more significant, though, and nobody's talking about it. Do you believe that the Hunter Biden bombshells we're getting here are a one-off? That is, that of all of the politicians and bigwigs involved in public policy in the U.S. and in other countries, because these business deals are foreign, trust me, those people are involved too, and at some degree. Do you think that it's just the Biden family, or do you think that the only reason we're hearing about this is because Hunter Biden is a cracked-out lunatic and left a laptop behind figuring, well, they're not going to be able to get into it. They're not going to be able to crack my password, which is crackrock123 or something like that, and so I don't have to worry about this. And he just was sloppy. I think that Hunter Biden just happens to be the wrongfully trusted attaché for Joe Biden. He was the go-between to embezzle literally tens of millions of dollars over the years and give Joe Biden a cut. And he did get a cut. It is quite clear he is the big guy. He lied to the American people. He also violated multiple federal laws in so doing. There will never be closure about this because, again, the law is like a spider's web. Flies are caught, wasps go free. Jill Biden's the biggest wasp in the family, but Joe qualifies as well, and so they're not going to get any trouble. That is almost meaningless because expecting any closure, the Republicans could take a supermajority House and Senate as of the midterms, and there still wouldn't be any binding investigation into it. You'll get something like J6, only there will actually be a perpetration involved, but you're never going to get a legal case. Joe Biden's the president. at least in name, so he'll never get prosecuted. Same goes for Trump, by the way, even if he had done something wrong. What really is meaningful is do you think that this is a one-off? I don't. I think that many, many politically connected families engage in exactly the same behavior. It could even be the Trump family. How do we know? Unless they're cracked out and they leave the laptop behind, you're never going to hear about it. That's the whole problem. What this shows is the systemic corruption within our political system that goes well beyond just the Joe Biden and his inner circle. It certainly involves Pelosi. There's certainly influence peddling there. There's also insider trading. Apparently her husband, totally not her, by the way, even though they're fiscal proxies, bought a shit ton of processor stock right before a major congressional deal just a few days ago in regards to NVIDIA. So this happens all the time. You've got insider trading. You've got intrigues and assassination plots. You've got quid pro quo. You've got straight-up influence peddling. You've got slush funds. Clinton was notorious for this in regards to China. Half the money that was bundled for that fucking family came through Chinese firms. Oh yeah, the Chinese company sets up a shell firm in the United States. That shell firm is perfectly allowed to donate to political causes. There is currently no rule against the Chinese family company pumping $100 million into that shell firm, and the only reason is apparently to dispense most of that money, which has 2 fucking employees, $100 million budget that's really efficient, to various political causes. There is no way in which to stop this from happening. Citizens United should be repealed. We certainly should be looking into the data of politicians more. In fact, I think we should suspend the Fourth Amendment protection on personal data for people who are in federal office. They shouldn't have a right to privacy. If anything, they should have to wear a goddamn body cam 24/7 so that people can understand, other than when they're taking a shit, they're allowed to turn it off for 10 seconds at a time so that they can force shit in the White House bathroom. That should be the way that we do business. We should make them public servants again. There's a reason we use that term. Will this happen? No. Of course not. We have a desperately authoritarian, bitterly corrupt system in which trillions of dollars are embezzled every year. We see this happening right now with Ukraine. We see this happening right now with the infrastructure bill. Certainly saw it with Shovel Ready. What do you think Solyndra represented? It was just a cash grab. It was never meant to be a functioning long-term company that would be solvent. That's not the point of the green energy disbursements either. Why do you think all the congressional Dems are so angry at Manchin right now over stopping their climate change bill? It's because it was a hundreds of billions of dollars cash grab for all of the companies that donate to those politicians. What about Ilhan Omar sending millions of dollars into her husband's consulting firm while she was running? Oh yeah, that's not a conflict of interest. It is perfectly acceptable to effectively pay the person you're committing adultery with through their consulting firm, even though the firm has an indeterminate actual goal and purpose in existence and appears to be just a shell company. This happens all the time. Hunter Biden, ironically, desperately crazy as though much of this is, and so many people get distracted by the crack and the whores thing as opposed to looking into the business dealings. We know that Joe lied now. We've got confirmation from his own son about this, so it's quite clear. There will never be closure about that. People aren't focusing on the broader picture. The fact that this can happen with the then VP's son, simply because he got sloppy and he left the laptop behind. Imagine if all the other laptops of various political children and nieces and nephews and cousins and uncles and shit, imagine if those laptops were gone through. You would find probably a lot worse than Hunter Biden smoking Parmesan cheese. That's about all. Peace out.